needle on the record.
Welcome to Wage Cucking with Jmo.
All right, guys. Welcome to yet another episode of Wage Cucking with Jmo. It's been a while, but we're back now. We have two guests today. I'm pretty excited for this episode. We have Graeme, who is one of the co-founders of Harry Potter Obama Sonic 10 Inu. Did I get that right? But
Yes, sir.
better known as Bitcoin. And then Jimbo, who is the founder of Milady Maker. How you guys doing?
Been great. Thanks for having me.
Hey, yeah. Doing excellent, man. Good to be here. Good to be here. Glad to be.
Yeah, before we get started, you guys want to give a quick intro of maybe a little bit about your background, how you got into crypto, and a bit of what you're working on now. I guess, Graeme, you can go first.
Yeah, totally. I got into crypto as a kid. I liked playing Magic the Gathering, the card game, and some of those guys were some of the earliest people to BTC. And so I was just getting BTC shilled to me by grown men when I was like probably like 14 years old or whatever. And so I remember honestly thinking it was a scam at first because of like Willy Bot and everything. But then I quickly came around to it because I was going to college in a rural place and needed to be able to participate in Silk Road somehow. So it was altogether, though, a very good confluence of things because I ended up working in IT, so I just had like infinite time to just go on internet forums and read about crypto in like 2014, 15, 16, just like some of the greatest times. So I ended up after college, I worked in market making and kind of was like at the intersection of like TradFi and institutional stuff and in crypto. A lot of people that worked with a lot of people that were like the Wall Street types that were like embarrassed to be in crypto, and I always hated that. So although I really liked, a lot of the people I worked with and what I did when we got ticker Bitcoin going, I was, excited to leave and just focus on that full time. And that's what I've been doing now for a little over a year. And one of the cool things that we're doing is building an L2 on Barachain, which is going to come out in a little bit. So got a lot of fun stuff going on, and happy to be here with Jimbo, who I think likewise is always creating cool things.
Yeah. Fucking yeah. I mean, my intro, I sort of came in a little bit rebellious as well. I, was aware of Bitcoin and crypto since I was like 12 or something, but my biggest mistake is not having access to a bank account in 2012 and 2013. So so I never really got in until like I was in college, and that was around like 2017. And I dropped out after like 3 months in crypto. I dropped out of art school, and my parents are both artists, and they were like, "What are you doing? Like, stick with art school. Like, going into tech? Are you retarded?" Like, no, this is the future, mom and dad. And sort of, yeah, I didn't really look back, and sort of just been messing around in group chats and building shit, Milady, all that stuff, uh, ever since. So yeah.
Yeah, that was like back in like pre 2015, like the early days of Bitcoin. Like even before that, I remember like the difficulties. The barrier to entry to Bitcoin was quite a bit higher than it is now.
Oof. Yeah,
Um,
duh.
I, I so like for my personal experience, I remember like I want to say like 2011, 2012. I attempted to buy a lot of Bitcoin through Mt. Gox via US Wire. My US bank decided that like the receiving bank was some like fraudulent bank, or they were using some offshore bank. They blocked every transaction, so I couldn't buy Bitcoin. And I had a lot of friends. I don't know if you guys remember what local Bitcoin was,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but it was like a I guess they do some online transactions, but at the time, like a majority of the transactions were like IRL peer to peer, where you would like set up a meet, and then like looking back on it, like I mean, like something like this, like would not exist today. Like the operational security of just like showing up to like a physical location with like your Bitcoin in hand, handed over seems kind of ridiculous. But like a lot of the people that I knew that got into Bitcoin early, like met up with someone in real life to like pay them cash to collect Bitcoin from them, which is hilarious in retrospect.
And it
Um,
was
I mean,
it was pretty ridiculous. Some of the stuff, like my first purchase, it was so bad that I had to do um, my bank to PayPal in Europe, and then PayPal to Linden dollars, which is the currency of Second Life,
yeah,
and then
yes, yes.
Second Life, I think, to Mt. Gox, and Mt. Gox to Bitcoin. That was literally the only way I could work out because there was nothing else. And the fees, it's like the Linden dollar step, I think, had like a 30% fee or something, or spread, whatever you want to call it.
The
It
Yeah.
Linden
was
spread was insane. No, it's so funny you say that because no, I was just about to say like when Jmo was saying all that, I was gonna wait till he was done, but Second Life was the move. The Veerwox terminal, Veerwox
mm,
was it. Veerwox was like the biggest like exchange in the world, and they just shut down and went away in 2020. Like it's the most underrated story that nobody remembers because they just like weren't on Veerwox. But like, what the hell happened to Veerwox? Like, it had to be like it had to be a money laundering scheme or something, right? Like, why else would you just shut down and just go away? But the Linden dollar spread was insane, and you had to go like for me, it was USD to Linden dollars, then Linden dollars to BTC. But
mm,
you were having to cross two spreads, and they were just
mm.
ginormous, and it
Yeah.
just felt like a total rip.
And
I've heard so
I
many
guess it makes
stories.
sense. I guess it makes sense because if you look back at it now, if so many people are going through such ridiculous efforts to buy something, then uh, maybe it means it's worth looking at the thing.
Yeah, yeah, no, I mean, I when I got into crypto, it was just all for crime at the time, right? There was like nothing else. Like it was just all like everything that was associated with crypto was crime. But at the same time, I remember looking at I'm like a senior in high school and I'm taking like AP economics or whatever, and we're talking about different asset classes, and I'm looking at the market cap of gold in the world, and I'm looking at the price of BTC, and I remember just like doing the math just in terms of fractions. And I remember thinking, oh wow, like Bitcoin could go to $10,000 someday, just based on that. And then I think that there's some truth to how it's kind of manifested itself, right? The belief in any kind of currency or asset class is all fiat at the end of the day, really.
Mm,
So
yeah.
it's really kind of taken hold.
I've heard like so many stories like going back to online games into crypto. Like I've like homies that were like the treasurer of their RuneScape guild, and like
Yeah,
the denomination was like, all right, like we're settling in Bitcoin. And so, I have buddies that like, pass through like in the guild treasury like tens of thousands of Bitcoin, right? Like 2010 and stuff.
totally,
And it's like, oh yeah, we
totally.
lost that account and all that. It's like, oh, we didn't care at the time. And I have a bunch of homies that are like, pro gamers in just various, C level, D level games. And they're like, oh yeah, like I was like number two NA, but I won like $3,000 in tournament. Second place was $500. Third place was a gift card. Fourth place was like 3 Bitcoin, right? Like,
yeah,
like
Right, right.
if only they were worse in like 2010, they would have, been stacked up. But I my first purchase of Bitcoin was I guess, well, it was like Coinbase, but I remember I was buying like Litecoin at like the top and like ETH at the top in like 2017. And then like I sort of like dwindled to nothing in like in the bear market. And I was like, all right, what am I gonna do now? And then I learned, and then I discovered BitMEX. And so from there, I was just sort of like grinding away at accounts. And I remember at one point I like lost, my stack, just, degen leverage. And I had to get a job at like a fucking restaurant. And I would be going like after like payday to like the Bitcoin ATMs because this was like the tail end of I guess big what was it like in-person Bitcoin, what was it called again?
Peer-to-peer
Yeah,
transactions,
yeah, yeah.
right?
Like that like ended like I guess like
Bitcoin
either like
meetup.
Yeah, Bitcoin Meter ended, I guess, like that year, the year before. So I was like,
Mycelium.
yeah, so I'm like in Brooklyn in like the hood because there's like no Bitcoin ATMs, and I'm like with like $1,000 in cash, like trying to like sketchily like insert like $1,000 in 20s into an ATM, and there's like crackheads tapping me on the shoulder like, hey, can you grab me? Can you get me $1? I'm like, oh my God, like what are we gonna do? They're going around the corner to buy crack, you're handing them a 20. But yeah, then I
Dude,
uh quit my chef job to because I was like in the bathroom trading on my phone on BitMEX. I'm like, oh, I just made 10 grand on 100x leverage. I'm out. Yeah.
perfect. Yeah. No, I mean
Wow.
that's such a thing though. So many drug dealers like made it so huge on BTC appreciating. Like whether it was like, online Silk Road stuff or just like people that just started accepting it, because it was an easy way they thought to, kind of like launder out their money. Like there's just so many random like you go to like these BTC meetups or like see BTC people, like there's so many just like random like older dudes who were like either like huge libertarian gold bug types like were selling pot or whatever. It's a very eclectic group, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the original Silk Road, I feel like there were quite a few people that made like quite a bit of Bitcoin.
Oh
But
my God, yeah.
at the time, they're like it's not like today where there's like a million like on ramps, off ramps from fiat to Bitcoin. Like at the time,
Yep.
even if they wanted to sell, like that they would likely have difficulty selling. So like a
Mm.
lot of them were forced hodlers, which worked out like pretty well for them, I'd say.
Yeah. Well, how
Yeah, but
how
again,
much BTC is gone forever if you think about it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
like the biggest like factor of me like sticking with it, like, oh, like this is the future was again, like it was so hard to get it. I'm like, oh, like the moment that it becomes easy, it'll be like worth 100,000, right? But while it's really hard to get, just buy now and then in the future we were able to off ramp on ramp easily. But I guess now we're somewhat there, right?
And
Like,
and today there's nothing that's difficult to
Oh yeah.
get, which is a bit concerning. Everything is too easy to get.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's also too easy to create, I think. That's
Yeah.
why it's so easy to get, right? You used to have like a proper scam in place to be able to launch a token. Like, 'cause it's true, like you needed to have some kind of like startup
Feather
type
coin.
funding. Yeah. And to do that, like you needed like something going on that had some coherency of sense to it. But now,
Mm.
like, it's really just about, fulfilling some kind of bonding curve. And like, this is true. I mean, I'll let Jimbo speak for himself, but I think I know his feelings on this that I'm sure I think are similar to mine, where it's like you look at when we were releasing stuff like kind of like bear like Milady, ticker Bitcoin like 2022, 2023, right? The attention and the liquidity was not nearly as fragmented as it is today.
Yeah.
So if you made something good, you really were rewarded for it. I've seen like really high quality projects that don't have like some kind of buzz or market cap or volume, and it just
Mhm.
comes down to the fact that they're just not getting like the choice of the day, so to speak.
Mm.
Yeah, I feel like today that it's almost a meme now that utility is almost like a bearish thing. Like I
Yeah.
remember when people started
Yep.
minting ERC20s in 2017 and like the
mhm.
entire purpose of them was to, like sort of make up like this future utility of it and then like that was just like the value proposition. But then
It's
today, like
yeah.
it's like a whole new landscape where we're advertising that there's no utility to this token, and that's the
that's that's a sales play.
that's it.
Yeah.
It's because Life Imitates Silicon Valley, the TV show, where having a product is bearish. Well, in that show, having revenue is bearish, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
if
Yes.
you take it one step further, then having a product is bearish. And if you take it one step further, then even having a plan of a product is actually bearish because it's just future disappointment.
I think this is a good point to transition a bit. I think we should first talk about Bitcoin, the ticker Bitcoin. Graham, you want to talk about a bit like I guess the basics behind it and how it came to be?
Yeah, like so I was not involved in the very first iteration of ticker Bitcoin, which was on BSC in November of 2021. So talk about Pico top.
Mhm.
But I believe there was actually two tokens even that were created trying to compete to be the ticker Bitcoin. But a lot of the content and a lot of the community and a lot of like the characters came out of that time. And
Mhm.
that was a huge advantage for us when we first launched because we had material that was all ready to go, memes that were all ready to go. There's a huge truth to the mimetic nature of a meme coin, right? And how it has to be a thought, an idea that like goes from mind to mind in an infectious manner. And having the stuff from the 2021 version was a big aid to that.
Mhm.
But that was created on BSC in May of 2023. VMU, who's one of the co-founders, he basically saw that Pepe was having the success it was, and that made him think that it was kind of going to be another meme coin season. So he got everybody together and was saying, "Hey, I want to relaunch what happened in 2021. I've got the web domain, I've got all the meme material. Let's go and do it."
Mhm.
And I think he totally nailed that. And the launch, which was the first fair launch ever, no ICO, no reserve allocation or inside or anything, just really getting it out there, keeping people from early sniping, getting rid of
Mhm.
snipers, inspired a lot of people because the meta up until then had always been really extractive utility tokens. As you
Mhm.
were just mentioning, utility is bearish now, I think, because people have come to realize that if you're trying to fulfill some sort of utility, it generally means that you're just selling a token for some, arbitrary reason, right?
Mhm.
But we were successful with the launch, and a big part of that too was the Sproto Gremlins PFP collection, which I think if you look at this cycle, and maybe this is a bold claim, and I don't mean to like put anybody down, but I do think that Milady and its derivatives and Sproto Gremlins are really the only two like majorly successful NFTs of the cycle that I've seen. I think there's got to be a couple others, but as opposed to last cycle where you could name like many different brands such as, I mean, not that they're a favorite of CT, but Bored Ape got to the point where they're raising serious money, deploying more serious assets. You didn't really see that in NFTs as much this cycle outside of Remilia and then Sprotos to a small degree. I guess you saw Pudgy Penguins rise up from where they were, but harder to name out of that. But yeah, we got that going. It's been a little over a year now with the project, and it's been just really cool to get to see people come together as a community, which I think is what Ticker Bitcoin has going best for it is the community that
Mhm.
makes it up.
You want to talk a little bit about community, mainly like how Bitcoin developed like such a community. I know I talked to you about this in the past, and like what one of the
Yeah.
things you really harp on is the fact that like the community within this coin, like you said, without like much utility, um, basically feels like there a lot of them are like in it for life, like even through like bear
Oh
cycles and stuff
yeah.
like that. They're still participants in the community, and I feel like in crypto today, a lot of it is like we talk about like community money and stuff like that. It's difficult to build solid communities. Like a lot of people are mainly profit driven. So, if things are going good, then you have like a robust community. If things go poorly, like the community sort of fades away. Yeah, so you want to talk a little
Yeah.
bit about like community and how you see the Bitcoin community being a little bit different than other ones we have today?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the word cult always gets thrown around a lot in crypto, and people will say something is a cult. And to me, you can see that in the financial behavior of holders, right? People that have over six figures of ticker Bitcoin and maybe $11,000 in their bank account, and they're not selling any, they're not selling any of their ticker Bitcoin despite it going up and down and up, just it can go down to 70,000 and then up to 310, and they're holding all of that. And these are people with families too. This isn't even just single guys on their couch. Like this is somebody who, could be taking this meme coin risk off the table and instead having things for their families. So that I think that alone, demonstrates a large part of the cultish aspect to it. But the question is, why would people behave that way? I think it comes down to the power of a digital identity. And when the digital identity that somebody has becomes more valuable to them than their real life identity.
Mhm.
And we see this in crypto all the time. And I really think that when the merchandise that we've done at Ticker Bitcoin, which is something that's a really big deal to us, and we really try to get that right, the reason it does so well and sells so well is because people are able to now take that digital identity that they have, which is greater than their real life identity to them, and
Mhm.
they can then go apply that to the real world, right? You're taking that digital me that is the one that has the power and friends and money and whatnot, and now putting into the real life me when you have that product that connects them. And there's some truth to that too. Having our Telegram, for example, right? It's like a 14,000 person Telegram that just never stops talking. And for a lot of people, that's their main social outlet. When
Mhm.
they go to talk to other people in this world, their first thought is to go into our Telegram. And
Mhm.
so when you don't even have to have, I think, hundreds of people that feel that way. When you have maybe 10, 15, 20, 25 people that are like that, it creates a pretty tight-knit community. And so we've just done a lot, whether it's having the Sproto Gremlin PFPs, right, which enhance that digital identity, give you kind of a common tribal narrative, to real life events, or the digital events we do, just as much stuff as we can to kind of give people that sense of self, that's an empowered self, and that I think creates that kind of cultish following.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
no,
definitely makes sense.
the aspect also just like continue what you're saying, like the aspect of like your digital identity, like just it's just like it's like a very freeing thing. Like okay, I can say things that I wouldn't say on my face stocks account. I can, interact with
Yeah,
people I would otherwise never get a chance to interact with. That's, great utility. But especially like just like how like things develop. Like for example, for like Milady, like the culture, identity, and community and all this stuff for Milady, we didn't like build this. I mean, like
Mm.
we had, we built a
right.
product and we built the Discord and all this stuff, but we put in such minimal effort to sort of give people an environment to sort of like, exist in, but they just took it and ran with it. And you just see like, projects coming out of communities like Bitcoin and Milady, like, projects like Mog and projects like Retardio and you
Hmm.
know, like things like this that like they wouldn't have existed without like, developing and there's a lot of PvPing where it's like, oh, like we're going to, you know, take over uh, you know, the parent sort of group that these derivatives sort of come out of. And that's like, I'm like all for it. Like you like none of these projects wouldn't have existed without like group chats of people like-minded coming together, and it just like, it basically compounds on each other. And when people are like playing in like meme markets and uh oh, like what new meme should we buy? What new coin should we buy? I'm not looking at like what are normies in, like, oh, what's big on TikTok, what's big on fucking like boomer Facebook groups. Like that doesn't matter. Like what are the memes that are being shared in like the in like the DGen chats? Like what are the memes that are being shared in the Milady chats and stuff like this? Like those are the next memes. And it's really, yeah, it's like, in the past, a lot of memes were downstream from 4chan. And now it's, a lot of stuff is downstream from just various group chats and Twitter and, uh, you know,
Oh yeah, I mean, we came out of Fortune, right? Like the
yeah,
Harry Potter, Obama, Sonic 10
Yeah.
Inu, like that
The backpack.
backpack. Yeah, the backpack was like a
exactly. Yeah.
legendary Fortune meme. And that was actually, to this day, I would say is still a major part of the philosophy of the token is like, oh, we are the token of 4chan, right? And that's, I
Mhm.
mean, we've run
Bootlegging.
4chan as since day one. Yeah, always running ads on Biz every day.
One of the similarities from Milady and Take Your Bitcoin is like just like yeah, like obviously Bitcoin came out of like the bootleg backpack, the
Yep,
Chinese
yep.
the Chinese sort of fake. It's not. It's so fake that it's not even fake anymore. Just like a real new thing.
It's art.
It, yeah, it's art. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
And
totally.
when we were starting Milady, when we were building it, it was like, oh, like uh we had all these like fashion ideas, and we were like, oh, we can't afford these Balenciaga pieces in real life, so we're just gonna like remix it on a Milady asset, right?
Mm.
Uh,
Yeah,
so we're
yeah.
like completely fine with like doing the remix. You know, the remix and the remastering element is like, that's like a big culture of Bitcoin, like big culture of crypto in general. You gotta
Totally.
take what you have, destroy it, and build something new, sublimate.
No, totally. I think that that's like crypto is like the most inclusive thing in the world, and it's inclusive of all the people who see beauty and want to access it for themselves. And sometimes that involves creating just new value altogether.
Mhm.
And that's the projects in crypto that I think are the quote best unquote, right? Are the ones that create new concepts of beauty and value to be able to bring it to other people, which to what Jimbo was saying, I think both Milady and Ticker Bitcoin have in
Mhm.
common.
Uh, Jimbo, you want to talk a little bit more about Milady, like the history of it, how it came to be, and I guess like the almost cult
Yeah.
following it has today?
Um,
And sorry, what's the connection between Milady, Remilio Corporation, and Retardio? I know for me, it's all a bit much, but please.
yeah, so we started basically like in a group chat, like we were sort of like shit posting back and forth in like a really fast chat. And most of the people in this chat like weren't like crypto people, right? It was just like a lot of like shit posters from just various corners of the internet. And it was sort of like a great like holistic environment where, like it was also at a time when, you know, uh NFTs were, just starting to come out, in a big way. And we're all a bunch of like, very little technical people, a lot of like art school dropouts like me, and just various online just anons and shit posters. And we're like looking at the market and looking at Bored Ape and being like, this is disgusting. I hate this. Looking at all these like I mean, when you have stuff like art blocks or no hate for art blocks, but we invested a decent amount into that. But you have products that were developed by developers and coders and not by artists with no connection to like art history and things like this. We're like, okay, let's try to make something from an angle of we understand like net art and internet art, and let's just go from there. So it was sort of like a reaction to sort of like the stuff that like we didn't like. We're like, oh, I don't like this, so let's make something like we like, projects we like, we're proud of. And yeah, sort of just like went from there. And we sort of gathered like communities that weren't in crypto, fashion people, music people, art people, and it was a lot of like uh people's first entry into crypto was buying a Milady.
Mm.
We sort of started out sort of modest beginnings. Obviously, we all just did it as a project, no capital injection or nothing. And we sort of had to like build it from ground up. And one of the things that really pushed us over the edge of like getting us minted out was doing raves in New York, mostly. And that was like a super fun sort of experiment where we sort of like we hired this like fashion creative director slash like nightlife club guy, and we said, okay, go to every single club and every single bar and venue in the city and find the best DJs that are new, and let's produce a show with these people, and let's throw a crypto party that's 80%, New York club people, and we'll invite crypto people as the last 20%, and they can understand what a real good party is, because we're going to crypto parties and it's like 99% sweaty guys. It smells really bad. So people going to our parties and they're like, I remember I think it was around the third Milady rave where I think the Paradigm people pulled up and they're like, oh, what is this again, Milady? This is cool. we're gonna buy a bunch of this. And then like the next day it was like minted out. So so sort of start from there.
Yeah, well, one of the cool things, so like we had a guy from Athena on the podcast, and we were in Singapore for Token 2049.
Oh yeah.
Andreas was there. But like I met him for the first time at an event, and he was on his way to like the Milady party, or the Milady rave there. Um, but yeah, like one of the interesting things that they did was I mean, this is like one of the biggest new projects in crypto. They actually airdropped like a decent portion of their token supply specifically to Milady holders, and like the only
Mm.
reason was because like the founder was like big into Milady. So yeah, like I find it interesting, like the crossover, like of people developing like these DeFi products or these like crypto products that are also part of like the like the meme coin community or like the general crypto community.
Mm. Yeah, the Athena, his name is Guy.
God.
Yeah, he was asked in some podcast interview, like a serious interview. It's a big Athena's like a big financial thing. It's like to explain why they would airdrop this pretty serious DeFi asset into Milady holders. And he basically said that it was more like the classic, like, because I like the art.
Yeah.
Hey, well, I
Really
mean,
good.
but the art and the art is beautiful though. Like I think that
Mm,
people I think that you look to Milady or Sproto Gremlin and there is this genuine honoring and respect for principles within art and aesthetics that appeal to the eye. And that's why to me certain PFP collections are just so offensive because they're just so offensively ugly. And I'm like, how
Bored
could
apes.
anybody yeah, I mean, but especially mutant apes. That was like mutant apes, everything about that is offensive. I mean, it's a derivative to begin with. So it's like it's already a money scam to begin with. Like that's like the thing that blows my mind is like this company is valued at multi-billions. It was the same with CryptoPunks when they did the latest, generation of CryptoPunks, whatever that is, and
Yeah.
sold them at a mint price. Like, why are you raising money at a multi-billion dollar, not just valuation, but like treasury holding? Like, you need to be like base Tezos instead, who just like doesn't go out asking for any money from anybody and instead just does, cool things that, satiate their interests, like acquiring World of Women or, pushing whatever agenda items they
World of
have.
Women.
I'm
Yeah.
just gonna
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say I'm gonna push back a little bit. Because obviously we started off with Milady like, as like the antidote for bored apes, but we're at a point we're at a point now where the bored ape art style actually has proven itself. And I'm getting into
I
this.
like the one where
I'm
it's sucking itself.
yeah. Okay, so I'm getting into this. So there's there's an American art form, an American art style that is, a uniquely American, wholly homegrown art style, which is the smoke shop art style, right?
Mhm.
You see this
Okay.
with Rick and Morty, Bart Simpson smoking a bong, right? The smoke shop art style,
Mhm.
right? And they sort of
Mm.
sped run that of just like you go to any smoke shop in Brooklyn and in New York, or I guess even like LA. I haven't been there in a while, but there you see this a bunch, and like Venice Beach, right? The bored ape smoke shop sort of like aesthetic,
Mhm.
that's like a legitimate like I'm really into that. It's like it's really funny, but they sped run that, like before you had to have like a huge running TV show like serialized for decades, and but the board ape sped run straight to the smoke shops, and
Do you think they know that?
it's completely unintentional. It's completely unintentional. It goes into like sort of like a Miami coded like Alec Monopoly and things like this. It's obscene, but it's obscene in like such a special way. That's like it's just only American,
Yeah, I actually know exactly what you're talking about. I have a hat, like one of my friends got me a while ago. That's just like Hello Kitty, but like he or she or whatever Hello Kitty is hitting like a massive bong, and
Yeah.
it's really cool actually. Yeah, so I wanted to talk a little bit
It's
about
avant-garde.
like either of you can answer this, but like your thoughts on like the current like meme coin cycle. I feel like
Mm.
the current cycle of crypto is like way more focused on meme coins now. And then the previous cycle we saw like the emergence of like your more traditional PFP NFTs. And we saw what happened with like a majority of those projects. I mean, like the prices of a lot of the NFTs are down like 90+%. Like a lot of the communities have disappeared. A few have done okay or have like maintained their price, but like a vast majority of them haven't really done much, or like the outlook isn't too great on them. So going forward, possibly in like the next like 5 years, maybe like the next cycles, how do you see things going with like a majority of these meme coins? Will they sort of see the same fate as like a majority of the previous NFTs, or like is it different this time?
I mean, I can take a stab at that. I think that what you're going to see is that the meme coins that survive and go on to multiple cycles, I think their valuations will remain a lot higher than the NFT collections from last cycle that survived and kept around.
Hmm.
You can kind of see one example of this, and it's yet to be played out because it only very recently happened. But the D God collection literally converted itself into a meme coin, and the market cap I think is like 40 million or 45, which wouldn't, excuse me, that wouldn't represent a terribly high number amongst, largely established meme coins, which tend to be like maybe you could say like I think Retardio is probably 75 million right now, and scaling all the way up to the multiple billions for the top ones.
Hmm.
I think that for the larger ones that'll stick around, it'll be the ones that either have distribution channels locked down, so they're listed on, tier one exchanges, Binance, Coinbase. They've got the multiple hundreds of millions to billions dollar market cap, and also the ones that have mind share that just won't go away. So
Hmm.
there will be a few that aren't maybe on Coinbase or Binance, but it's something that all of CT knows and likes. But you're going to see a large correction when it comes time because that's how every cycle ends, right? Wherever BTC and ETH are, they're going to just catapult down, down, down. And so I think that there will be some more prominent projects that you could say like die, for lack of a better word. And you saw that with the NFTs of last cycle too. But there definitely will be more survivors on the meme coin end just because of how much bigger the projects are in terms of market capitalization and the fact that you have the ability to lock down those distribution channels. Whereas with NFTs, no matter how big they got, they couldn't have like the IPO moment that is a Binance listing, that is a Coinbase listing.
Hmm.
And their cultish nature, it proved to not be as, I think, thick because of the fact that the liquidity of NFTs, with them being so illiquid,
Hmm.
once you kind of give anybody any way out, you see that with the price action of the ones that converted over to
Hmm.
tokens or something like that. So, but I definitely think you're going to see a lot of staying power on the meme coin end.
So you think that like the fact that NFTs aren't like like transferable ERC-20 tokens, therefore like you can't have these massively liquid like centralized exchange markets and stuff like that, is like a pretty big limiting factor for their growth.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just don't think you just don't see NFT collections with the market caps of tokens, really, right? There's
Hmm.
very few that have done that, and even really big success. Like I would argue that DeGods have done a great job in terms of mind share, right? Everybody knows who they are. They have good aesthetics, I think, overall, and they do a lot of IRL events that are well attended, and then
Hmm.
their market cap is at least currently, right, not something that would stack up largely amongst other meme coins. There's just a whole different, there's a whole different financial way of thinking about them than there is a token. And it also is the IPO event that is listing on Binance or
Hmm.
Coinbase, because when you have that happen, the associated revenues and the associated financial event, the creators of a token are able to profit off of it so much more than an NFT collection ever can. I mean, we're talking exponentially. And it's that ability that the creators have to profit that informs a lot of the future success of that token because they're the ones that are going to reinvest back into it. Maybe
Yeah.
it's not the creators, maybe it's early whales, but it's at least people that have the financial stake. You
Mhm.
don't really see that in an NFT collection because there's the minting event and then in a basically no royalty world, what's next. So
Mhm.
I think, Vermilia, for example, and the assets they've created, you're looking at something that's not just an NFT collection, it's actually got a community behind it. And
Mhm.
that's how you then have, as Jimbo mentioned earlier, other assets, Mog, Retardio, et cetera, that come out of those worlds and beget their own financialization.
Yeah, I think yeah, I think it's like a really honest like like the current meta of just like, okay, we have this, you know, uh pygmy hippo that we really like. Let's like pump that. Or like,
Ooh,
it's a really
dang. Yeah, let's go.
it
I
it
kind of
really
like
it's
that
like
one.
really yeah, honestly, I'm like on the level where it's like I think it's like a really honest like take of what like the mind of
Yeah.
a crypto participant is, where
And
like
it's so cutesy. There's a live stream. Like I don't own any, right? But I understand why people do. You can watch this thing. It's
yeah,
super cute. It's in an actual zoo. It's like, why not?
yeah, but like as an example, like um you know like I really think that like you know like as a whole, like from the 2021 cycle of NFTs as a whole, it was almost like a placeholder. Like these things sort of came out with, sort of experiments, and nobody really knew what was going to happen. Um, and you sort of have, oh, here's like a new token model, and let's see if people like it or not, right? Like it was not really like it was more or less unplanned, and so like it's on the same level of NFTs, or sorry, on the same level of just regular shit coins or meme coins or whatever. It's at the same time, it's like sort of, let's just put something out and see if the people like it, right? So it's like a level of just, experimentation. Some people might argue that a meme coin with, just a regular meme, a concept, just a simple idea is a step backwards, but it's an honest step forward into what people actually, go into crypto for, which is let's make a bunch of money. And when you have sort of, a rapid fire sort of like, new meme every day, we can have some discernment over what we like, but at a certain level, it's they're sort of like prediction markets, right?
Mhm.
Like, Retardio came out with their coin after Andrew Tate was like flaming somebody with a Remilio profile picture, and he just said Retardio, and it's like, oh, it's really funny. Let's make a coin. Um, and it's you can sort of have somebody can come up with a meme, and if it resonates, then we buy it, no problem. But on the same level as NFTs were sort of an idea that caught on and sort of captured a lot of attention culturally, there should be new token models that people should play around with, and uh, just raise the bar slightly higher.
Mhm.
If people know that they can just like launch a rug and just get away with like a little bit of money, let's see if they can understand that coming out with something with slightly better, good, slightly better fundamentals, or I want to say fundamentals, but like technology, or any cool new novel idea will be rewarded. And it'll never really go away. Like this is a meta that will be built upon, and people will always be trying new things, and people understand that, like, okay, we're coming to crypto, we're trying to get as many people to buy as possible. Let's go back to the basics, and you know you know you you
Yeah.
you you want to you want to include as many people as possible without a I guess this might be cope, but like, if you have like an overly complicated, system, how are you going to get like your uncle to buy? It's like, I don't know what this does, but
Yeah.
I know a lot of like my friends, boomer parents are just like, oh, this is a funny meme, Trump Haiti, dog coin or something. I don't know, right? Like things like this, but as like sort of like prediction-esque like cultural things, it'll never really go away.
Mhm.
How can we sell meme coins to the boomers? Um, like my mom loves Facebook. She just posts random shit there, and they all do. How do we get the meme coins for the boomers so they can trade them? We need more we need more exit liquidity.
They're on Solana, dude. They're all on Solana. I swear to
The
God.
boomers around Solana.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah,
incredible.
yeah.
Well,
Oh wow.
there's a lot of truth though. Like there's gonna be a meme for everything from now on.
Mhm.
There will always be anytime something happens, there'll be a meme coin, right? Moo Dang is an example of it. Hawk Tua, there was meme coins for Hawk Tua, obviously.
Oh
When
my
Trump
God.
got shot, Fight and Trump. Fight was up today. It was one of the more trending tokens on Dex Screener. There's, I guess, some kind of trumpet going on, right?
Mhm.
But that's just like the truth. And the meme of the week is never going to be a lasting meme coin. It's never going to be something where I would encourage everybody, like if you buy the meme of the week and you're up, think about when you're going to sell that thing because it's not going to be some kind of blue chip forever. But
Yeah.
some
Mm.
will be able to rocket way more than others because look at Moodang. I mean, that gets
Yeah.
support from every single major corporation entity posting something on their social media. That thing's going to go a lot higher than your Hawk Tua token will,
Mhm.
What
right? So
what
there's some.
There's like two types of, crude analysis, but there's two types of meme coins. There's the flavor of the week that's like, oh, viral on TikTok, whatever, new animal. Uh, and there's like a homegrown meme from crypto, right? From the community, from whatever environment that's homegrown out of crypto culture.
Mhm.
And I definitely say like, you know, make some money, buy some stuff on the side in the frothy market, like, you know, you know, new animal drops, buy a little bit of it, sell it at the top, make your money. But every so often there's an organic coin that comes out from crypto culture, and that should be, you should compound those, and put a spotlight on these type of projects.
Mhm.
And but I feel like the problem is that everybody's too busy just like buying, you know, whatever, and speculating on what normies are talking about when, we're sort of like, we're the first ones to see our own stuff first, right? Like,
Mhm.
so
Well,
it's
yeah,
pretty easy.
trading is like, I mean, trading to me is not the way to go for the vast majority of people. Like you should try to create things or at least just be friends with people that create things so they'll give you some of their stuff when they create it. Like that's your best chance. If you're really looking for, generational wealth, which I know most degens are, that's
Mhm.
more so the path. It's going to be very hard for you to trade your way to it. I don't say that to discourage everybody because there obviously are people who can, but I think that people underestimate their ability to identify at if you feel like you can identify trades early, you shouldn't really be identifying the trade so much as you should identify the people involved in it. I mean,
Yeah.
go make friends with if you see something like Milady starting, go become friends with people such as Jimbo, right? Go meet the people that are originating this and get involved with it. That, at least in my personal experience and watching other people's experience and learning from it, that will get you way further in life and in crypto than trying to kind of invest your way there.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with that. Just like the multiples you can make, just like trading, like your return won't be that high given like you're probably starting out with a smaller amount of initial capital. Whereas,
Yeah,
just like the connections you make with the people that like actually build stuff in the space that are that will last. It's like very important to get in contact with them, like befriend them early, like help them develop something and that'll pay off in the long run. But
totally. Yeah, totally.
That's like how I
the
started in crypto, like, like bought the top 2017, dwindle it down to like almost nothing, and then I would just like in the trenches and group chats and like talk to people,
Hmm.
and that's where I met people like Ansem, like Deez, like Trill, Showerhead, shout out Showerhead. But you know, these are the people that like you know, still around, everybody's still doing stuff, and uh sort of like you find, groups of people that like never gonna leave, and the best knowledge in the world. Like I'm not a technical person at all. I built my sort of crypto career off of just like knowing people and like becoming friends with people, going to events, going to conferences and doing that. And you know, you get the odd shill of some bullshit, but nine
Hmm.
times out of ten, like the stuff that people are building in conferences will survive versus like some random
Totally.
guy in some Serbian guy that's launching
Yeah.
bullshit 3 bullshit projects a day, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and the people that go to conferences, those are the people that can show their faces, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's you begin to learn who actually is not going to be avoidant of others in the space, and generally that means they're not going to value extract as much.
Hmm. Yeah. So one of the issues I have, maybe you guys have a take on this, but one of the issues I have with the current meta is that it's like you both mentioned, like people are still in it at the end of the day, or a majority of the people are still in it to show profit, to make money. Uh, but I feel like the current cycle is more PvP, even though even more so than like the previous cycles. And a lot of the meta is centered around what people call KOLs, or like thought leaders, or like opinion leaders that have
Right.
like sort of ascended to like almost like cult followings, where like the people are trading based on like their daily tweets, or like what they're into these days. Do you have any thoughts on that, as to like if it's a good thing, if there's any way around it? Is it possible that people in the future would be less exploitive of other people? It would be more based on community and less of this like PvP. If I'm making a lot of money, it means someone on the other end must be losing a lot of money.
I mean, before I get into the greater answer for that, I just want to say that the other day I was talking to a friend of mine who he's also a Remilia guy, and he's been in crypto for quite some time, and he's in his early 30s, and he's a lot of his crypto stuff in life is about proving his father wrong, and he was talking about how he's really looking forward to selling all of these bags and being able to turned around to his dad and being like, "See, Dad, like it all paid off in the end." And he told me we're talking about that and how so much of crypto is people just trying to get even or back at their fathers. And he came up with the concept of PVD, and I think that is it's probably person versus dad, which to me I think is maybe the best representative of crypto itself. But anyway, I digress. I think that there will always be the PvP nature of crypto to the extent that it's impossible to not have within a market in which people are selling on one another, right? There's always a PvP nature of it. Like the originators or the creators of something, they'll have assets that what they invest into it is way below its market cap value, and when they go and take it out, it's because other people bought into it, right? So
Mhm.
but I think that a lot more of crypto is becoming kind of collaborative, and the it's becoming PV some element that's willing to fund it. Like you look to a lot of some of the VC type apps that are just giveaways for people. Like I'm not gonna there's some that come to mind, but I don't really want to give anybody a free shill. But the point is basically like I've seen dApps or whatnot where they're emitting some kind of token or reward, and there isn't necessarily a revenue element for the protocol. It's really just based on what's the participation level of the user,
Mhm.
and whomever funded or raised it, they're the ones that are getting sold on when that happens. Actually, maybe one example I can give is Radio Shack. When Radio Shack did their whole crypto venture last cycle, they had this really weird thing where you could like create a pair on Radio Shack that they would essentially fund the LP for.
Mhm.
So you could just basically like create Radio Shack tokens and just dump it on Radio Shack. and just like rug your own project for Radio Shack bonding LP funding profit, I guess, whatever. So,
Mhm.
but that's to say that, there's going to be elements and instances of that. But yeah, I do think that crypto will always have people kind of having that PvP
Mhm.
element just because of the timeline nature and how value goes across the timeline.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I also think like we generally like we choose our KOLs, like we choose, you know, the people that sort of, bubble to the top are, they have success rates and they have, you know, uh they have credentials of like, of multiple projects that we've identified and doing money on, tell people to buy. But at the same time, that's like a double-edged sword because, you have some people that like basically just won a coin flip and they were too retarded to sell. Like, oh, I bag held XYZ coin, uh, and now I'm up like 8 figures. Um, like, is that a smart person? Uh, like, will they have other coins that they identify and get into, or did they just win like a coin flip and they just get really lucky? So it really is a double-edged sword. Um, I, I try to have some sense of like I make my own decisions and you know, but it's impossible not to get influenced. Especially if you're on Twitter every day. But you know, we're all trying to make money, but yeah, there's an element of PvP that we're we're trying to find the balance where, again, like we're getting the boomers in, we're getting the normies in, and we all want to make money together and win together. But you know, yeah, we'll see what
Don't
happens.
listen to just don't listen to KOLs though. Like every
Well, here's the
KOL, like
here's the thing.
it's yeah, just don't
Here's the
listen to
thing.
them.
Here's the thing with getting shilled is everybody will tell you when to buy, but nobody will tell you when to sell.
Yeah.
So just
Yeah, that's
figure
well
out your
said.
exit. Figuring out your exit is like the biggest part. Like, okay, I'm gonna buy this coin because somebody told me to, but like, having an exit plan is as important as having an entry plan.
Yeah. You never want to be the exit liquidity that the person that told you to buy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it makes sense. Like I wish that there was a world where I mean, like I agree, it's always going to be like PvP, just like the nature of the market. But like I just seen too many like recently, just too many extremes where people are basically going out of their way to do borderline unethical stuff to exploit other people in order to make profit, whether it's just like
Yeah,
minting
I
coins,
guess
pulling liquidity, stuff like that. And I'm not a huge fan of that.
Like
I
that.
guess I should
You
say
didn't like the pendle action. You didn't like that.
I should say I guess
What was
I
that?
guess I do agree. I do agree that like if that's what you're talking about, because to me the PvP nature of just having tokens and selling them, you can't get around that. But yeah, people doing crazy stuff like these celebrities like rugging a token for like $4,000 like that. I think that that is going to go away just with the bull market turning to a bear whenever it naturally does, right? And
Mhm.
you always have the purest things are created in a bear. That's always when the best, highest quality projects come
Was that Lil Xanax or something?
Is that what
I
happened?
mean, Lil Pump, he was around for a bit. He had, his Retardio phase. Bit, shout out to Bit. They were able to do some cool stuff with him. But seriously, I think that you'll see that stuff change up, and we're not going anywhere. Like there's now at this point, like I think Jimbo and I at least, and others represent, you could say, the crypto kid generation of people who are now in their mid to late 20s, and this has been like our entire lives and we kind of have
Mm.
the you could say like between the opportunity and resources to just stick around and keep creating stuff like I don't see myself doing any other kind of arc with my life, so I
Yeah.
want to keep creating things within the field for sure.
Yeah.
No, I think the biggest aspect, just to go back about like why NFTs have fallen off. Um, there's so little like, so like uh you had like when NFTs are coming, in 2021 when they're, burgeoning and everybody's making a lot of money, you had so many artists coming around and they're like, oh, new artists in the scene, you know, very few stuck around, right? They made their money and they left. And now they're, they might still be artists and, making art, but very few of them have stuck around in crypto because they saw it as an avenue to make money off this new asset class, and now they took that and they sort of said, "All right, peace out. I was never into crypto to begin with. I just liked the money." And you had so much talent loss with NFTs, which I guess that's why it didn't really pick up into the meme market, which the current meta we're seeing today. That's like uh that's like one of the biggest reasons I think. But there's many other reasons about obviously like the liquidity aspect and whatnot. But but having people that stuck around and uh there is something to be said about the type of person who obviously has stuck around and has launched you know dozens and dozens of shit coins, and probably not very good people, but yeah, like people always have a problem with like Ansem every like 6 months, and it's like, okay, like he's never gonna go anywhere. Like doesn't really matter what you say about him. Like he's not leaving. And a lot of people, you can have a few bad calls, who cares? But like, you know, people have been around, net positive, I think.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. There's like a bunch of people that like I mean Anson's one of them that are just probably like regardless of like what market cycle or like how the market is doing, they'll probably be around for life just because it's it's what they do. It's like their occupation that's all they've known. And then also like I feel like people like him might get a little bit of a bad rap just because like you said, I mean even the best traders in the world are like that they're going to have a hit rate that's not 100%, right? Like not even close to 100%. So it's easy for people to, like because everything is like, recorded in history. It's easy for people to like go back and say like, well, he got this call wrong, he got that call wrong, when in reality, like everyone on earth that like has ever traded crypto has made a losing trade. So like I think it's kind of ridiculous how like certain people's like positions are amplified a bit in a way where like people take positions or calls in isolation and use that to represent like a person's body of work. Um, yeah, I think the culture now is more like people are people are more active like on social media, and then like everything is like recorded in a way where like a few bad calls here and then like suddenly people think like you've lost your edge or you lost your touch, where when in reality like your thought process still could be sound, you still could be very good at what you do, and you just get unlucky a few times.
Yeah, like I never really sort of had a reputation of like I'm like not really a good trader. Like I wouldn't ever tell people like, I'm buying this, you should buy it too.
Mhm.
Uh, like if I buy something, I'm like, maybe I'll tell like a homie or something, and it's like you can lose money with me. But but in general, it's like, I, you know, do projects that I believe in, and if it doesn't do good, then like, it's my fault, and I should take responsibility for it. But usually my projects do good because I've been in it for a while and I believe in the stuff,
Mhm.
so there should be a level of responsibility that if you're a known figure, you should yeah, like there's it's very easy to it's very hard to build a reputation. It's very easy to like destroy it. And the people who've been around, they understand like, okay, like I'm not going to destroy a reputation for, you know, like basically anything because,
Yeah. Yeah, the reputation is very important. What was the I forgot his name. the guy that was he was supposed to do the Trump coin with Donald Jr. and they
Shkreli.
announced. Yeah, yeah. And
Uh,
then like I thought that situation was kind of he basically told all his friends that like Donald Jr. was gonna make an announcement and the token was gonna pump and then it never came about and then there's a whole fallout and I think they went all silent on Twitter for like a month after that.
yeah, he's the type of guy where like if you listen to him, it's your own fault. Like
Mhm.
there's people who will stick around and it's like, okay, like they're not good people. They're gonna stick around, but if you listen, like we know this guy's a bad guy. You listen to him.
Wasn't he gifted like a rare Milady and he sold it? Like maybe I'm wrong about
Oh
that, but I
Okay,
no,
thought I
so
remember.
his Milady arc was like
Tell
funny.
me the story.
Okay, so like 2 years ago, I guess, year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, he gets out of jail, right? And immediately, like I think it was literally like day one, he like joins one of like our Milady chats. And he's like, "All right, guys, what are we buying?" Like, and like I was still like kind of a fan. I was like, "Oh hell yeah, Shkreli, da da da." We're talking to him. I'm like, "Oh, buy Milady's, buy Milady's." He's like, "Okay, cool." And he's like, "Buy Milady's," and he's like sort of like bull posting, like, "Oh hell yeah, fuck the Milady's, da da da." And then like a week later, he's like, "Actually, fuck Milady, I hate this. This is the worst project I've ever seen. I'm selling. I'm out." And then like the market cap nukes fucking well like 30% or some shit. And then like we're like, "What the fuck?" And then like he's like, "Don't worry, guys, I have a plan." And then he like buys back. He's like, "Actually, I lied. I like Milady again. Pump it." Uh, and he did this like three, four,
Uh,
5 times. We're like we're like, dude, like at a certain point, we're like fuck off. Like we kicked her for the chat. We're like, you're a retard. But like he would basically like buy him a lady, and he would like be like, I love this. This is like put PFP on, put on everything, and then he would like sell it as like the Shkreli Milady at like a premium. Like this is like straight from Shkreli. Sell it, and then be like, I hate Milady, duke it, and then like buy back. And then that's when I was like, dude, like fuck you, like I hate this guy, like because an idiot. But yeah, that's like my involvement with him. I haven't
Does he still own the Milady or he sold it?
probably not. Yeah, we kicked him
I
from the
kind of
chat, and I haven't fucking interacted with him since.
Yeah, those guys always like there's like kind of a revolving cast of characters that show up within like Milady, like Vermilia, Ticker, Bitcoin, like other meme coin worlds, and they'll always become like a top holder, and you kind of have to like service them from an investor relations perspective, and it's like, why the hell is this like quasi criminal slash successful businessman like talking to me so much on Telegram, you know? But then eventually that
he's
phase of your life ends after they
he,
sell.
he's fortunately pivoted to AI now, so don't worry.
Yeah.
I mean, AI now. I mean, it's crazy though. Like, there's a very interesting group of people who have made some serious money within the world, and then they turn their gaze to crypto, and it has an outsized effect. And there's definitely a culture within the meme coin world of who are the best investor relations people for these folks, right? And how
Mm.
can you get their money and their liquidity centered on you? And I think that you can kind of tell, like, there are some projects that succeed that are just beautiful projects, whereas there are others that are more propped up. And I think that it's always pretty cool when it's beauty first, and you see that amongst the projects that we've been talking about tonight, definitely.
A lot of the time they're not sending their best. But uh one of the few people that I want to see like actually interact with crypto scene more is Paris Hilton.
Oh yeah.
She was
OG.
like
Dude,
she has like a
She
big
was like an
past.
OG, right? Like I
Yeah,
remember
yeah,
we
her
yeah,
got
around.
Bro, we
Oh,
got the
and
Paris mention. We got the Paris mention. She tweeted
really?
about Ticker Bitcoin. Yeah,
I didn't see
so
that.
more light. He got her to literally him in a tweet and just specifically tweet about him and be like, she's like, thank you at Ticker Bitcoin BB for or something. It was, I know, I
That's
was
so
so
funny.
happy too. I think, yeah, I so agree that Paris is like a total, and Paris would be perfect for crypto, bro. Like a meme coin
yeah,
center around her. It's
But
so good.
she's so great. She's
she
so
could be the
great that like
anti-mother.
she like doesn't interact with crypto, but she's been in the trenches like
Oh,
for like a
absolutely.
decade.
She, yeah,
When
like
did she
I
get in?
remember I remember I
Ages.
invested in something in like 2016, and she was like on the cap table, like
Yeah,
Paris
yeah.
Hilton.
Her
Just
and Ashton Kutcher as well. He's super OG in Bitcoin and loads of crypto projects.
That's yeah, that's true. That's true. I've heard about that as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, but no, I'm kind of low key. I was looking at some ladies yesterday. I was like, I don't know. Every time I see Jimbos, I'm always like, man, that's just such an aesthetically perfect one. I don't know where to.
Yeah,
It's just
then you
the
need to go
way
look at
the
mine.
trucker had.
You
Yours
got to
is
go look at
nice.
mine.
You have a pretty sick
I love the
one,
airing.
I believe too.
you
I
love your
think it's
milady.
yeah, it's so well
I
done.
do love my Milady. Let's
I love my Sproto as well. I got to show something about Sprotos. They have one of the coolest, most 4chan influence aspects to them. Total cancel culture. If you ever saw it, I don't know if you're into Robert Crumb or R. Crumb and his
Yes, I
drawings and
love. Oh my God,
illustrations.
I love Crumb.
Yeah.
I love Crumb.
Okay, so Crumb is a major influence on Sprotos in that Sprotos actually came from an AI generative prompt. People, I think, don't actually realize that it wasn't like a hand draw, and it was really well done. The creators, Nick and Juicy, their Twitters, you can find them in the Sproto handle. It's like I am Nick 44, and then Juicy Unlimited. They
Hmm.
did, amazing job. But R. Crumb was a huge influence in it. And I've always thought, man, like we're gonna get hit with like huge blackface allegations someday because if you just go and look at both Sproto's as well as his drawings, like all of it is there. But I think, I mean, it's all there. Just go look at it. I think it makes them incredibly beautiful, in my opinion. But I
Yeah.
know that like just it's waiting to get hit in that background. So there's all kinds of good nuggets to this stuff, and it gives it more.
I think Crumb was known for like he would just take LSD, right, and then draw, and then
Oh,
like
his illustrations are amazing. I mean, I love, I have a whole book of he had Mr. Natural, who's just a
Yeah.
great comic. I have pretty much every Mr. Natural. But he just had great his work with Harvey Pekar too
hmm
is really great. But I think that, if you go and you look at these older cartoonists and you see like if you like again the best collections like things like everything about Remilia, everything about Ticker Bitcoin Sprotos, it's all so intentional. And people
hmm
don't realize that. It's like with abstract art, you look at a Pollock and you might think that's just like throwing stuff on a painting, but in reality, every single thing of it is completely intentional. And that's certainly a part of what we do, I'd say.
hmm
Yo, uh, do you know the origins of Mr. Natural? Like where it came from?
No, school me on it, school me on
Okay. This is so sick. So Mr. Natural was a real guy. Um, his name, I
it.
guess
What, really?
okay, so Mr. Natural, he was a guy who like lived in like the streets of New York in like the 40s and 50s and stuff. And he was I mean, I guess he was like a it was like a hobo, right? But like he would just sort of like wander around and sort of just like barefoot guy just sort of wander around, just sort of like an eccentric figure, just like not even just New York, like across the country. And he was just like known as like just sort of like this traveling mystic sort of rogue. And he met Nat King Cole at like a club, and he like gave him his
What?
story. Yeah, like Nat King Cole, he met him and he's like, this
Wow.
guy's this guy's great. Gave him his story, and then King Cole wrote a song called Nature Boy, and it was about this guy and his like teachings.
Oh
Oh.
wow.
And then that became like one of his like breakout like first hits. He went on to like become a legend. But it was like, yeah, it was this guy. I guess, yeah, it was like Nature Boy. I guess that's what the song was called. I forgot what his name was, but you can Google Nature Boy, Nat King Cole, Mr. Natural, something like this. You can find who this guy was. But yeah, it's just sort of like this traveling sort of you know, hippie guy. But he was like he was like credited of as like
It's amazing.
the he was like credited as like one of like the uh originators of like hippie culture as like a whole.
Oh
Just
wow. I
like,
did not know that.
yeah, like he like his philosophy sort of like guided like early hippies and like the beat movement and all these people. Uh, you know. just naturalist and sort of wandering poet and writer. But
So
yeah,
sick.
Oh, that's
I
very
That's
fucking
cool. That's
sick.
love
very
it.
cool.
I had no idea that there was actually like a historical background to Mr. Natural.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. He like broke out Nat King Cole, and yeah, there's a lot more that there's probably a lot more that I'm like leaving out that I forgot, but yeah, look up Nature Boy. He's great.
I will. I will. That's sick.
All right. I got one more thing on the agenda. Me and Andreas, we're gonna do an episode recapping our time at Token 2049 and
Mm.
Breakpoint. Maybe get like a sentiment check of everyone, but I figured we could just do it now. All right, Andreas, if I
And
talk a little bit about what went down and what's going on.
yeah, and I know is it Jimbo at least working might want to tease something, so we should get that in as well. But okay, Jimbo, let's go.
All right. Look out for a number. New project. I get a tease. I'm not gonna shill, but we're dropping numbers soon. And numerology focused project. It's gonna be a cook. Yeah.
And the numbers.
The ticker is number.
hmm
Nice, nice. Yeah. I guess we met Graham briefly. In Token 2049. Andreas, I know you had like a booth at Breakpoint, right? Did you have any takeaways or like what was the sentiment of people there? Like what was it like?
Yeah, so the Breakpoint conference itself um, was, I mean, the whole thing is immaculate. Like the way they set it up is amazing. Everything looks cool. Uh, it's just super professional. So that's one thing. It's a pleasure to be there just because of uh, the aesthetic. But I've been to quite a few conferences, especially Bitcoin ones, Ethereum ones. Unfortunately, some like 20 Token 2049 like ones.
Mhm.
And Breakpoint really stood out to me because we have a booth. So people walk up to you and they say, "Hey, what's this product?" Right?
Mhm.
So my booth is about my exchange subject. And we have people there, like my team explains it to them. And then they say, "Oh, okay." And they walk over to the next booth and they ask for a t-shirt. And this is all you get at a Bitcoin conference and Ethereum conferences. It's like this, like a bit like uninspiring, kind of zombies coming up to you. But at the Breakpoint, when it was very different, and my whole team agrees that all the people coming up, they were like, "Hey, what's this?" And would explain it, and they're like, "Oh, cool." And then they would say what they're working on, and everybody was working on something, and just all kinds of projects. Some were physical products, DeFi things, just stuff, gaming stuff I don't even understand. So that was very, very different. I've honestly haven't seen that my entire time in crypto, never seen that.
Mhm.
So that was
Like
very, very
this much
positive.
new cooks. Just
Absolutely. And they're young, and there's a huge area that's like a massive co-working space or like hackathon space, whatever it was called, the Coliseum. And there were just hundreds of people sitting there cooking and like very regular looking people, not your typical like classic super obese kind of with
Yeah, yeah.
The neck
with the
beards of
smelling
crypto.
lines coming up from them, that kind of
I
Star
I
Wars t-shirt.
I'd add
So
to that.
very, very positive.
I'd add to that a bit. Like I've been to quite a few conferences, and I feel like recently this is stuff like it's become a lot less chilly and a lot more
Mm,
like you're working on this, I'm working on this. Like we just chat about what we're working on.
yeah.
I'm not telling you to buy anything. I'm not telling you to like
mhm.
to invest in this and stuff like that. I mean, there
That's
is like a
so
decent
good.
amount of business talk, but it's not as bad as it was, I want to say, between like 2017 to like 2020, where like you go to a conference And literally, like you'd have like 20 people approach you in the hallways and tell you
I
about
think
their
you just got
ICO
better.
or some
I
shit.
think you just got better at filtering where you're going, Jmo. Because
Yeah.
if you go to Token 2049 in Singapore, which I know you didn't,
Yeah.
I didn't either, but my friends who went, they
Yeah.
said it was just people just stealing you scams left and right.
Oh,
It was
really? Okay.
as bad as it ever has
I
been.
I went to I was in, Singapore. I bought, I think, day passes for like both days of Token 2049, and I never showed up to the registration table. I just went to side events and hung out with friends
Yeah.
and through the party that we threw, and that's not me trying to hate on necessarily Token 2049. It's just, at these conferences, really, to me, it's more just you should go hang out with your friends and whatnot. Don't worry
Yeah.
so much about going to the shill pits, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm,
There's, I mean, like, I feel like there's very little to be learned at like these conferences. Like, they're not really going to teach me anything. Like these people speaking on stage, like that.
yeah, yeah,
No,
and
no, no. You want to
They'll
get
be
an
like
angel ticket. No, no,
shilling their fund or like shilling like you'll have like some fund that's like, all right, here, put a booth up. We need to do it. So, okay, I guess
and,
we
and
have to.
nobody
But like,
and nobody who's making anything cool can afford or either in money or time to have a booth at Token 2049. So if you
mm,
go there, the booth is actually manned by like an agency that they hired. There's no founders or builders of that product there.
yeah,
That would be extremely rare. But at Breakpoint, what we do, we show there with every employee we have is basically there. So like our team is sitting on their laptops doing their normal day jobs at the booth.
mm,
Um, and I think that there's a lot of other people doing that. Like at Breakpoint, if you walk up to a booth or something that seems cool, the founder of that company is not going to be far away.
Nice. So,
yeah. The best
Andreas,
part, the best part about
are you more
conferences.
are you more bullish on Solana because of this? Is that what you're saying? Like the builders of Solana
The
are,
token or the ecosystem?
I mean, they go hand in hand, right? I mean,
They do. So
if Token 2049 is like an Ethereum
Ethereum, yeah.
like, based event, and that has like a much worse crowd than like the Breakpoint event, are you more bullish on like Solana ecosystem stuff?
Yes, and I know it's popular to hate on Ethereum now, but like, the next event they're doing is like the Zuzali thing in Thailand.
Yeah,
Um,
DevCon.
Mm,
Yeah.
that no, not the one in Bangkok. They have
Oh,
one in
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And dude, the focus is basically like DEI is the entire focus of the conference, like social, helping social products. It's like helping poor children in some country and improving democracy, quadratic voting, using encryption for democracy. That's the whole schedule for a month.
Hmm.
So they don't give a fuck about DeFi and they don't care about art either. So that is very bearish for Ethereum. And on Solana, what's super bullish is like you guys, you're younger than me. What you pointed out, there's an entire generation of crypto natives, and I saw a lot of them at Solana Breakpoint. And I don't think they know how to code Solidity. Like I don't think they use MetaMask. I think there's a pretty big group of builders who are Solana natives now. And that's a huge problem for Ethereum then, because you
mm,
need uh, if there's like a 4 year cycle where all the new devs were just learning to program for Solana, then they can't go work for your startup or make one for EVM because they simply don't know
mm,
how to do it, and they're not going to change now.
Yeah.
And
No,
that's
I feel the
that's a
same.
repetition of the problem that Bitcoin had, and it's really
yeah.
really it's tough, and I don't think you can pay your way out of this. I think you just need to have the better community, and that's where the young people will go because they see past all of your spending, right? They're smarter than that.
Yeah, like I meet people that that are relatively new to crypto, let's like call them like first cyclers that have like no experience with like Ethereum or EVM. Like their
Mhm.
only crypto experience is like directly through like Solana and Solana ecosystem. So there's definitely like a pretty large subset of people that
Mm.
have gotten into crypto like in like the previous cycle. That's all they know. Like they don't even know how to like use MetaMask. They don't really bridge from EVM to EVM. That they simply just
Mm.
like use Solana and like the products on Solana.
It's
Yeah,
crazy.
and
Like the Solana stack almost was like very esoteric for a lot of people like 3 4 years ago, like 3 years ago. And now it's like, oh yeah, there's so many more devs on this. And I remember in 2021, like we had such a difficult time trying to find Solana developers. Now it's like dime a dozen. And this is similar to what was happening in 2018 with ETH, when there's like three dApps, right?
Mhm.
Uh yeah, now it's
and
like swing back around and yeah, again, you can't buy your way out of this. Yeah.
no, no, that's such a huge deal. But yeah, I mean, Jim, I'll send the question back to you. What's your? Because I remember you were tweeting that it's too popular to hate on Ethereum, so like you want to turn bullish. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
I mean,
I'm
what's your?
I
I know
was I
you're
was
thinking about it. Yeah,
I was hating on Ethereum before it was cool to hate on Ethereum, but I feel
yeah.
like I feel like
I
it's
remember you were telling people to short it, and
yeah, but
I
like
really wish I'd done that.
it became like too popular of a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, like I feel like Ethereum's just like always going to be around.
Mm.
Like the whole layer two narrative of like developing just like a million layer twos that would use Ethereum as settlement security, and then they would all have their like individual like robust ecosystems, and then fees would be paid back to Ethereum base layer, and like ETH holders will be rewarded. I feel like that's just been sort of invalidated. Like a lot of the issues I see is like I look at like a lot of these L2s, and it's impossible to differentiate one from another. Like they basically have like the same like 5 to 10 dApps that people use, that they like like different versions of stuff like Aave or like Uniswap. That their tech stack is like indistinguishable between like the other two, like other ones. So that there are some like cool ones that are doing their own thing, or like specifically purposed for like like a certain group of users or like a certain purpose. But like I think the majority of them, I feel like just like are generic, and like honestly you can't like really tell the difference between like what's going on like Arbitrum versus what's going on in Optimism, or stuff like that. So I don't really see, like I feel like, I don't know, like the whole community aspect, the whole like user aspect is mostly driven by like printing a native token. So like you run incentives on like these L2s, people will come, but when the incentives dry up, like people will go elsewhere. So I think maybe like volume and users will consolidate to maybe like a few of the L2s, and it depends like if like they would rather stay, or like the developers would rather stay on those L2s or move somewhere like Solana, or like the other other L1s that are competing with Ethereum now for like the smart contract like blockchain space. Yeah, it's hard to really say. I mean, like I don't think Ethereum's going to lose its place in the
Mm.
market, but like a lot of the roadmap, and a lot of like like the future potential, or like the direction that Ethereum is going, I feel like has sort of been invalidated. And I don't know. I think there's new narratives that need to form for
Yeah,
Ethereum to take another leg up.
absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, I never mean to say that things are over, because Ethereum works really well for like the foundation of DeFi, right?
Hmm.
Like Aave works really well, Uniswap works really well, even though Hayden may have basically said he doesn't like DeFi,
Hmm.
and Maker works. All these things work. So just like you say, I'm sure it'll turn around the
yeah.
sentiment, and
There's
I
a
hope I
Lindy
hope the
aspect
yes,
that you
Yeah.
there
can't
is.
ignore.
And
Yeah.
I hope the founders will start caring about their users again,
Hmm.
because you can be rich and love your users at the same time. It's completely possible.
The other thing I think Ethereum has going for it over Solana is, like, from my experience, the dApps that like people use on Ethereum are still substantially better than the ones on Solana. Like if you
And
look
open
at like
source.
yeah, if you look at like for example, if you want to trade perpetuals, like your experience trading perpetuals on like ETH L2s is going to be substantially better than trading on like the products on Solana, just because of like the liquidity the markets offer, just the design of the protocols themselves.
Mm.
Um, but I feel like that gap can be narrowed a bit. Like I
Mhm.
know like I like quite a few of the dApps on Solana, but they definitely have room to improve. And the other thing is like they definitely need like a bit more liquidity or to for people to move positions or trade with size. Like I understand like one of the selling points of Solana, like the Solana people always talk about this, is like they don't really care about like metrics like TVL and stuff like that. They're all for like capital efficiency and whatnot. But
Mm.
in reality, like TVL, like the amount of like money you have like in these markets, the amount of open interest stuff like that is quite important because like you want large players to be able to move positions with size within your ecosystem. And until that happens, like you're sort of limited as to what you can do.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
like the same thesis of why I liked ETH like earlier on, because the dApps are primitive and I'm like, oh, this is a lot of room to grow.
Mm.
So that's where I'm like, all right, Solana, it's very imperfect, but you know, once it starts getting better, there's gonna be a lot of value.
How how are people gonna spot the next Solana then? Because we're already talking about Solana. It's like its success, so it's definitely no longer the underdog. So if we have
Uh-huh.
listeners to this show who's like 16 years old, how they gonna find the next Solana?
I
If I
mean, I
knew,
will
I would
ch
tell people.
I mean, I think that like to find the next Solana, you could say in some ways might be impossible because like when are you going to get to bid an L1 token at like in a 7-8 figure market cap? But in terms of the next Solana, as in an L1 that comes out and it's going to attract a lot of people, have a lot of building, I will say that Berachain I think is going to be pretty impactful just because of the unique, novel way that proof of liquidity works, the unique and novel way that they've gone about cultivating a community, and the fact that
Mhm.
I mean, I know the founders and kind of what their disposition is towards not just crypto but life. They're going to be able to channel a massive amount of serious funds and put them into the hands of degens and community members and people
Mhm.
who want to go and build. And they recently came out with their RFB, request for proposal, which I think is another step towards it's
Yeah, Barry Chain.
yeah,
We haven't
it's
talked
another
about it.
step towards that.
We haven't talked about it yet, but yeah, definitely Bear Chain is big. Yeah, I really like the founders. I know them too. Uh, yeah, I'm definitely looking very closely at Bear Chain.
You think
Yeah.
the bull case for Bearchain is just like the team and like the way it's run, like the marketing and stuff like that, and not necessarily like the
Oh,
underlying technology?
well, the tech is actually so much better. Like they've done like I mean, I feel like I can say it, they
Sorry.
went from a bad tech situation to a good one. They
Hmm.
really did. They engineered it pretty well, and people are going to be actually legitimately surprised, I think, when mainnet comes out and they see that there actually aren't not only these issues that they expected, but that it's actually in many ways kind of a better version of ETH
Hmm.
because they really did just kind of say, you know what, we just got to make this like what people know, and what people know is ETH, right?
Hmm.
So, but yeah, both from like a tech perspective, a culture marketing perspective, but really just from being able to read the room. The points that Andreas was making earlier about ETH, it just comes down from the Ethereum Foundation just not being able to read the room at all
Mm.
in terms
Yeah.
Yeah.
of crypto. Sometimes, in fact, it's funny. I get the sense that when they do read the room, they kind of intentionally go against it, almost
Hmm.
as
Yeah.
like a bit of like a just like an FU, right? So I think that it's not just I think I know from working with them that they not only read the room but want to be responsive to it. So that's
Mm.
what I would say in terms of next Solana is if you're looking for an L1 that people are going
I
to like
see.
Hmm.
build cool stuff on, build cool stuff on, create new cool communities. It's Berachain.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Like I feel like the underlying technology now is like far less important for like all these L1s just because like a lot of them have, fairly similar, not necessarily similar technology, but like the user experience given like the underlying technology is quite
Totally.
similar. So it's more based on, like what's going on in the chain, who's on the chain, what are we developing, what are we incentivizing, like what cool stuff can we do? And like you said, it's like really important to read the room. Like, what do people want today? What do people want in the future? And to develop that rather than, like focused on I know the previous cycles, like the focus was on like how many transactions can we process per second and stuff like that.
Yeah.
TPS, yeah.
Just
It's which is it's
1 million
ridiculous. I'm
TPS.
sorry.
yeah.
Yeah, it just it doesn't matter at all. Like it what matters is actually getting, producing things that people like and I think that they're doing an excellent job of that. They've done a great job of helping us to do it. We're really I would encourage anybody if you're looking to build to go over there and I don't just mean that in a baseless shill. I mean that from truly reading the room
Hmm.
too. Like you're going to get a lot of great support on Solana as well. I mean, in my experience, I've never built things there, but I do know some Sol Foundation, Sol Mobile guys, and I've connected builders to them, and I've been on calls where it's builders talking to the Solana Foundation folks or Solana Mobile or Solana what have you,
Hmm.
and it's a totally different conversation in terms of the support that they're getting from Solana as what you would see from ETH where nobody really even knows them, like you
Yeah.
Mm.
I never meet people that are like, oh yeah, I have a ton of friends at the ETH Foundation, like let me go introduce you. So that's never the case, so and I get why ETH orients itself that way. They don't have the same Solana needed to be able to go sell itself to the community. But necessity is the mother of invention, right? So
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's all I have for today. Before we let you go, you guys want to let the listeners or watchers know like where to find you and like keep updated on what you guys are working on?
yeah, totally. You can follow me on Twitter, Halloween in 2008, which I always get asked this, why Halloween in 2008? And the reason is that the BTC white paper came out on October 31st, 2008,
Oh, wow, I
Halloween of,
did not
of
know that.
2008. So yeah, a
Wow.
lot of people ask on that, and that's the reasoning for my Twitter handle.
Uh,
But yeah, also like anything ticker Bitcoin related. We're making blockchain, the L2 on Berachain, probably gonna be
mhm.
the first L2 for Berachain that comes out. So
Do you have a
Wait,
Twitter
always
account
keep
for
is
that
it
yet?
is it called blockchain?
Yeah,
Oh
blockchain,
my
like
God.
block one word, chain the other. Yeah, and
That's hilarious.
a little bit of background, a little quick background on that too is that we had a huge internal debate because it was, should we call it blockchain or do we call it Bitcoin chain? And my personal take was like, if we call it Bitcoin chain, I mean, if we call it, we're going to always be explaining it no matter what. But there's a situation in which it's funny when we're explaining it, and then
It's
there's a
great.
situation in which, yeah, where you're
It's
just like
Yeah.
clarifying
amazing.
things.
It's the
Yeah,
best.
thank you.
It's the
I think,
I thought bear chain was the best one I've heard, but blockchain is actually better.
Blockchain.
thank you. Well, I mean, we
So
like to tell
elegant.
people that from the people that brought you, Bitcoin on Ethereum, now comes blockchain on Berachain. So we're always
That's pretty good.
always creating something new there. But yeah, you asked about Twitter for that. I think, to tell you the truth, I think we did squat some handle that we just haven't used yet. We've been tweeting everything from the ticker Bitcoin account, which is
Okay.
it's real HPOS 10i. But which we had, by the way, this goes to show how old of a meme coin we were. Our original Twitter for ticker Bitcoin was freaking banned by Twitter at like
Yeah.
25,000 followers or something. We had to just restart. It was like they were freaking Hitler back in those days. It's these new meme coins have it so easy under Elon. They can just shill to gods galore and nobody's coming into. So meanwhile, we had that going on. But yeah, that's Halloween in 2008 is my Twitter. You can follow ticker Bitcoin there. But really appreciate y'all having us on. It's been a blast.
Yeah, you can find me on at Yojimbo_king. I'll be posting probably more often. I sort of like took a break posting about getting back in the swing of things. Yeah. dropping some new stuff soon.
Nice, nice. You have an account for the number project or not yet?
Not yet, not yet, not yet, not yet.
Okay, but you'll eventually announce it on your personal Twitter, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right, sounds good. We'll keep an eye out. All right, I appreciate you both coming on. It's been a blast.
Yeah, thank you
Yeah,
guys.
Thanks a lot.
yeah.
See you later.
You're so welcome. See y'all.